Sometimes the darkest stories never make national headlines. They happen quietly, behind closed doors, in places that seem perfectly normal. Small towns, quiet neighborhoods, places where horror shouldn't exist. This is one of those stories. The story of Sam Nordquist, a 24-year-old man from Hopewell, New York, who endured weeks of unimaginable torture at the hands of people he once called friends. What happened to Sam is one of the most disturbing modern crimes in recent U.S. history, and yet, barely anyone is talking about it. So today, we're diving deep into this case, how it happened, who was involved, and the chilling question everyone keeps asking: why didn't anyone stop it? Sam Nordquist was just 24 years old. Friends described him as kind, quiet, and gentle, someone who had struggled with identity and belonging, but who always wanted to help others. He was a transgender man trying to build a better life, working odd jobs and living with a small group of acquaintances in Hopewell, a town just outside Rochester, New York. He wasn't rich, powerful, or famous, just a young person trying to figure things out. But in the winter of 2025, Sam's life took a horrific turn. Sam lived in a shared home with several people, roommates and friends who came and went. On the surface, it looked like an ordinary rental house. But behind the closed doors of that home, something unspeakable was happening. Neighbors later said they heard shouting, loud noises, even crying, but thought it was just roommates fighting. No one realized that inside that home, Sam was being held captive. Over the course of 2 months, from late December into February, investigators believe Sam was repeatedly beaten, starved, burned, and forced to perform degrading acts. Court documents describe scenes so brutal they almost defy belief. Sam was reportedly forced to drink urine, eat feces, and was beaten with broomsticks and metal rods. Police would later call it one of the most sadistic cases of torture we've ever seen. On February 17, 2025, everything finally came to light. Authorities were called to the property after one of the occupants reported that Sam was unresponsive. When police arrived, they found him dead, his body showing signs of prolonged abuse, dehydration, and severe trauma. Officers immediately detained several people inside the home. What they discovered next stunned even the most seasoned detectives. The home was filled with evidence: bloodstains, burned objects, and clear signs of confinement. According to police reports, there were no locks keeping Sam inside. He could have left, but witnesses say he was too terrified to try. In total, 7 individuals were charged in connection with Sam's death. The suspects ranged from 18 to 41 years old, all living in or frequently visiting the same house. They were charged with second-degree murder under a depraved indifference statute, meaning they showed extreme disregard for human life. Prosecutors say that all of them took part in the abuse, whether through direct violence or by allowing it to continue. But here's where things become even more disturbing. Investigators say they found no evidence that the crime was motivated by transphobia or hate. According to police, Sam knew his abusers personally. They weren't strangers. They were people he lived with, trusted, and even helped. So the question becomes, if it wasn't hate, what was it? Detectives believe the motive may have been power and control, a toxic dynamic that escalated until it became lethal. What started as psychological manipulation slowly turned into full-blown torture. Some witnesses said the group became obsessed with disciplining Sam for minor things: eating food without permission, not cleaning properly, or even speaking out of turn. Others say it was a game, a horrifying experiment to see how much one person could endure. But there was also fear. According to reports, even other people in the house were too scared to help him. They feared they'd become the next target. When police questioned the suspects, their answers were cold, detached, almost robotic. Not one of them could clearly explain why they did it. The case is now moving through the courts in New York. Each suspect faces decades behind bars if convicted. Community members have since held small vigils for Sam, leaving candles and handwritten notes near the property where he died. But national media coverage? Almost none. No big headlines. No primetime specials. Just silence. And that silence is exactly why we're telling his story today. Sam Nordquist's death isn't just a story about cruelty. It's a reminder of how easily violence can hide in plain sight. It's about how fear and apathy let monsters operate undisturbed. So, if you ever sense something's wrong, a neighbor screaming, someone isolated or scared, don't ignore it. Because sometimes, speaking up can be the only thing standing between life and death. Rest in peace, Sam. If you found this story important, share it. It deserves to be heard. Subscribe for more true crime stories that need attention. Not the sensational ones, but the ones that could have happened next door. This is Echoes of Crime, and we'll see you in the next one.